What's up, gang? Welcome to another live episode of Strong Style here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, sons of bitches, and we are back for a live show talking about the world of pro wrestling with these two wonderful gentlemen down there in Orlando. Aaron Turner, the lawnmower god. How are you? How you feeling, man?
Lawnmower god. Yeah, I got a lot of yard work done yesterday with my wife. We had a great time. And got to sit out on the lawn and watch Cape Fear on the old projector. So it was good.
Oh, nice. And shout out to your wife who's become the new star of your TikTok or our TikTok. So it'll be fun to see her being a part of it. And we're back again with Chris Burns. Chris Burns recovering from the Netflix as a joke festival. Great thing you all pulled off there, Chris, with a little bit of drama, but also some great performances from a number of people there. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How are things going in your life?
I'm just riding the train. I haven't stopped yet. You know what I mean? I had nothing but catch up to play this week after the festival. I went to Sir Paul McCartney last night. I got 2 shows in Vegas tonight, so I'm on the way there. I got my WrestleMania 9 hat, celebration of Vegas. I got my Donnie and Marie shirt. I'm ready to go.
Any rumors that they're going to be carrying out like they carried out some of those people at the WrestleMania 9 through the curtains there for your performance?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I just got to make sure that I have eye line of anybody trying to rush the stage.
Yes.
Yeah. Any rumors that you jackhammered the guy that tried to tackle Chappelle?
Yeah, was that you who bent his arm back in that direction? What happened?
I may or may have not gone full Becky Lynch on this guy. I can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, Chris Miner coming in saying, I'm glad Chris wasn't tackled at the event. Absolutely. That's for damn sure. All right, but we're going to get into all the big things that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. We'll talk a little bit about, as you saw the title of the show here, talk about where we think pro wrestling might be in a couple of years because of all these contracts coming up for renewal, what we see the landscape looking like in terms of the federations and the promotions and the wrestlers and what they might be doing in a couple of years. We're going to get into some WWE news with with Raw and a little bit of SmackDown, and get into some AEW Dynamite news and Rampage news as well, and profess our love for some of these, for Jami Hayter and for Toni Storm. What a fantastic match between them, and then Wardlow and MJF and that contract signing. And then, of course, we're going to get into a battle of words here between Eric Bischoff and CM Punk. And we're doing all of it for your entertainment. So please send in your Streamlabs and SuperChats as we're going on. I'm going to pin it in the chat in just a second. It's right there on the screen, and it's also in the description of this video. All right, Aaron Turner, where shall we start, my man?
All right, so a lot of the talk this week is about MJF and his contract with AEW. Now, there are, whether you believe it or not, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a little work shoot action. Okay. That it is no surprise or no secret that MJF has been a little bit frustrated with his AEW contract. You know, you sign these contracts initially, and we see this across all pro sports, right? Like in football and basketball and stuff. Like if you're playing well and you're still on that rookie contract, maybe you want a little bump ski to make you feel like you're appreciated. MJF is no different. He's made no qualms that his contract is up in 2024. And that he will absolutely be listening to any offers from WWE or other places. So I composed a little bit of some contracts, some notable contracts from companies that are coming up within the next 2 years. Okay. And perhaps some people could be on the move. Perhaps some people could be just done completely. So let me start here. We can talk about this. WWE, this is in the next 2 years. If it's any closer, I noted that. AJ Styles, Alexa Bliss, Paige, her contract actually is up in a few months.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, who's on an 8-match per diem deal. So when that's up, he will be done. Current Intercontinental Champion Ricochet, his contract is up soon. AEW side, of course, MJF. Chris Jericho, an interesting one. Wardlow's contract is rumored to be up in mid-2023. I couldn't get any concrete info on that, so that's a rumor. Christian Cage and Jim Ross, interesting there. And as far as everyone else, this is basically just Impact people because ROH is kind of weird. Ace Austin, whose contract is up this year. Deonna Purrazzo's is up at the end of the year in December. Jordan Grace is also up in the next year or so. And Tasha Steelz, their current Impact Knockouts champion, is also due at the end of the year. So it is hard to say where these people will end up right now, but my question for you guys is, remember when WWE just like cut all their losses and cut all these people and everybody was losing their mind and 100 staff? Have they somehow like come back around and said, okay, well, in 2024, when most of these contracts are up, we're just going to scoop everybody back up that is going to be the next generation? Is that what you think's happening here?
What do you think, Chris?
I think it's entirely possible. I think that, I mean, WWE, and it's our fault. It's all the fans' fault. We no matter what happens, we keep watching, we keep consuming, we keep spending money.
He's not wrong.
I mean, not us necessarily. It's our job to cover this stuff, but a lot of fans, they don't vote with their dollars. So WWE keeps making record profits while they release wrestlers over and over again. They're not like AEW where they wait for their contracts to expire. Yeah. And so once WWE realized they could get away with it, and they were just kind of like, oh, great. So we can kind of do like the old days and let people develop elsewhere.
Yeah. And
then when the time is right, give them a big money offer. And now the precedent has been set with Cody Rhodes to where no one's off limits.
Yeah.
He should have been the last person to go back to WWE, but he was the literal first from AEW to defect. So now, I mean, the ball is in their court to bring in kind of whoever they want, whether it be young talent that they want to develop elsewhere and then come back and be the future, like Wardlow perhaps, or bring back stars that they thought maybe the wilt was off the rose, like Christian or Chris Jericho, something like that. And I mean, it's kind of how WWE has always sort of operated. Look what happened with Hogan and Macho Man and those guys. They thought that they were done. Bret Hart, exactly. They thought they were done. They thought they were too old. They thought it was over. NWO happens a few years later. Who's back? Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? It had a long run. So, the ball is really in their court. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. I mean, WWE has a process that they go through, and every few years, what was new is old and is kicked out, and then they go and keep going in another federation, another promotion. WWE eventually realizes, hey, the storylines have opened up to bring that person back, and if the contract situation can work out so they can bring that person back, they have no qualms doing so. I mean, I know it was a catchphrase that Triple H used and Stephanie and Vince with this what's best for business, and that's literally how they operate. What's best for business. Are they always right? No, and certainly us and other shows call them out on when we think they're wrong, but they keep staying at the top of the mountain and keep finding these young people who come into their prime like Roman Reigns has and carry the torch, or Becky Lynch has, or what we see with Bianca Belair. They find these stars that eventually Rollins, you can say it all around, they find these stars and have them take the ball and run with it, and they've been able to be successful for numerous decades doing that. So I don't see anything changing. Whatever works for them is going to work. They're like the mouse, like Disney. If Disney needs to bring you back, they'll bring you back, and if they don't, they don't. But they've got the money to be able to do so if they need to. When you look at Alexa Bliss, I'm wondering, I mean, we're going to get to it, but it was one of the most kind of lame ways to bring her back. I know she's now a face, I guess, and she's up against a woman who was unsettled by the fact that she'd just been fired. So it wasn't the most strongest way to bring Alexa Bliss back. And I think in the end, they don't know what to do with Alexa because it feels like the women's division has kind of moved on from Alexa, and she might not have a place. And I don't anticipate Alexa enjoying being a mid-carder for a majority of the rest of her time in the WWE. So I don't anticipate that she'll be there much longer. AJ Styles, one of the things that I saw this morning that really blew my mind is that AJ Styles has been in the WWE longer than The Rock was in the WWE. That blew my mind. I saw it on a tweet on one of the verified wrestling sites, and they said that, and I was like, wait a minute. And I went back and looked, and I was like, Jesus, yeah. I mean, The Rock was only in for a certain amount of time. People forget it wasn't, a 20-year run or anything like that.
It was like 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years. That's it. And then boom, he was gone and did his thing. So you forget that because he filled a lot into those 8 years. And AJ Styles now having been W. So I anticipate if they have storylines for him, they'll keep him around. He'll be around for a while. Lesnar, Lesnar's always going to parachute in when he feels like it. He's untouchable. He's the Teflon wrestler. Ricochet is an interesting I think he belongs in another federation, AEW possibly, or Impact. That's where I think he can best ply his trade and whatever. But the MJF Wardlow situation is really, really interesting. Is this real? Is this beef with Tony Khan? Is this beef with AEW real? Or is this a negotiation ploy? As you mentioned, Aaron, or all of us are sports fans. We know athletes, when they're unhappy, like James Harden, they'll force their way out of a team, even though there's years left on the contract, or they'll have them renegotiate to a higher amount so that they can feel happy for what they've done. And look, this goes for linemen all in the NFL all the way to quarterback. We've seen people do that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that MJF is using a little bit of his status to negotiate a better deal for himself, or get out of AEW to go to WWE to make even more money. And don't be surprised that 3 to 4 years from now, we see MJF versus Wardlow as the main event at a WrestleMania. Don't be surprised. I could absolutely see it happening. Vince loves those big dudes, and MJF is a great heel that you would have in the WWE in a heartbeat.
I talked about this before, I think, but like, I think what Chris said is right. Like, they've already shown with Cody what they can do. How are you like MJF, right? And you're in contract talks with WWE and you're sitting at a table and MJF's like, listen, guys, like, I know there's a lot of creative issues that have been going on. Like, fans aren't happy with the creative. Like, how can you assure me that I will not get lost in the shuffle? And then they just slide an iPad over to him and they play Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania entrance for this year.
Good point.
Like, pal, that's what we can do for you. So I think that's a big, big selling point.
Yeah.
And do not be surprised. I said that the first person to jump ship from AEW to WWE that's significant would be MJF. I was wrong. It was Cody, but who saw that coming? I think the next person that does it, Jericho. I think Jericho goes back, because Jericho has been in every like top guy feud. Like, whoever the hot guy is, Jericho's feud with him. It doesn't matter. So he's done all of that. And then I look at the rest of the list. I could see Paige. I could see Paige making a move if she still wants to do that. If Alexa doesn't renew her contract, I figure she'll just retire. I agree with you on the Ricochet point. Someone in the chat said Wardlow will be 36 when his contract is up, and that doesn't make him like the future. Okay, I see that, but also Dave Bautista. I mean, Dave Bautista wasn't a young guy when he came into WWE, and he wasn't around forever, but he was a big force at that age, and people believed it. So, I mean, you need somebody to supplant that Brock Lesnar, and it's obviously not going to be Parker Bordeaux because they fired his ass. So it's like, who do you put in there? So Wardlow and MJF are very, very interesting. I think that some of the other folks, Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steelz, could all end up in AEW. I don't know if WWE would offer maybe Jordan Grace, but I don't know if they would offer Tasha because she's undersized.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would offer Deonna because they had her before and they didn't do anything with her. So I don't know, but I think it's a very interesting conversation in terms of AJ. Like, AJ's such a made man; they could renew him up just every year or whatever if they wanted to, and everybody would be fine with it because it's AJ. He's like one of the best ever. So, but something else like the WCW talk. Like, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but WCW was okay. WWE let Hogan, Savage, Hall, Nash, DiBiase, Virgil, Rude, like all these. All right, let him go. Let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go. And they went to WCW, and for a while it was great. And then Rey Mysterio said it best in the documentary. He said, what was the downfall of WCW? The downfall of WCW was they made one fucking star. That's it. The whole time it was run, they made one star, Bill Goldberg. That was it.
Right.
They never made a star. And then people would would flood off to WWE. Chris Jericho left, became a star. Paul White left, became he was pretty big at WCW, but he became a bigger star there. Yeah. And then so on and so forth.
And Austin as well.
Benoit, Austin. Yeah. Benoit became the world champion. Like, all that kind of stuff just started falling in their lap.
Yeah, Eddie
Guerrero, of course. How could I forget? Yeah. Malenko, like, all those guys became bigger stars in WWE. So I don't know. Like, I feel like wrestling is cyclical in that sense. And I think we could see that again. Like, I think AEW ship is kind of like overloaded. Like, Vince is like, yeah, sure. Yeah, take these people. And then your ship eventually sinks. And there's like WWE just riding on the yacht. Like, man. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but I think where AEW has the advantage is they had already built stars on their side, and they keep building stars. We keep seeing
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky. I mean, we see these guys coming through, and especially in the women's of Jami Hayter, DMD. I mean, they've been building people up step by step here through AEW. So they've got even though they've brought over a bunch of people from WWE, they've still kind of focused on certain people and built them up, and you see them as what feels like AEW talent. So you've got a nice mix here for AEW. And I wonder, I mean, Tony is spreading himself pretty thin. This is a lot of growth in a short amount of time. And I wonder if he's going to be able to catch up with how the promotion is growing, or as you said, Aaron, that ship sinks and here's WWE swinging by with their yacht to pick up what they want to pick up out of the water that they can use and has already been constructed by AEW. That's an excellent point. What do you think about all this, Chris?
My only other point really on all of this, and I don't know if I've said it before on this show, and maybe some of the AEW marks will be mad at me for it. You know who should go to the WWE at some point? Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
I know. Look, all your accolades, all your 5-star, 6-star, 7-star matches, whatever. Great. Very, very cute. Until you are able to get the same kind of accolades in the big leagues, and again, we've had Tony on the show. I love AEW. I watch every single week. Some weeks I don't even really watch Raw like that, and I'll watch Dynamite and Rampage. But at the end of the day, the WWE is the big league. You have so many masters that you got to serve there. You don't get to just do whatever you want. You have all these constraints. If you can still shine in that environment, that's what makes you an all-time great, in my opinion.
I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, Aaron, thoughts on that? Do you think he's wrong?
Not about the big league comment. I think you're 100% right about that. But could they swallow their pride enough to do it?
What pride? What are you talking about?
Well, they got that
lower league.
But they don't feel that way. They don't feel that way. They literally have a book. The Young Bucks have a book that says from the little time to the big leagues. Like they think they're in the big leagues already. So
they think they do.
They think they do. And John, thank you for making the point that it's too much too soon for AEW. Listen, man, like WWE was around for years before they had action figures and stuff like that. Yeah. AEW already has action figures, video games, trading cards. Like they've already got all this shit. And I'm just like, it feels unearned. I don't know. Like that sounds like stupid to say, but like I feel like this is not earned yet. Like, guys, let's pump the brakes. Like I don't know what we're doing here, but it's like I just feel like it's so much to get in that mainstream that I think some people love it and some people are super into it. And I feel like a lot of people are just like, okay, buddy, like let's pump the brakes here.
Yeah, they're having a good year. That's what you would say. Yeah. Like it's a prospect that's having a good year, and you're like, okay, man, you're getting a lot of publicity. You're making a lot of moves here. Can you keep it going for the next few years to really establish a foundation of excellence for your brand and keep it growing? That's the thing that you look at here, because plenty of people come into a sports league and are great in their first year, their second year, or come into their own in their third or fourth year, and then just kind of drop off in a couple of years. You're like, oh, what happened to that guy? I mean, Jake Delhomme is the perfect example. That guy was incredible. Took a team to the Super Bowl and then woof, right off the cliff, man. It was insane. So I'm just saying AEW is doing great right now, but they're really stretching things out. Okay, can you maintain it? Can you put the people in positions of power that are going to keep you afloat, going to advance you, going to be innovative, going to really establish yourself that you can go toe-to-toe with the WWE? Because you mentioned Chris Jericho. Eventually, that might happen because Jericho will get bored. You know, the Jericho Appreciation Society, to me, feels like the last gasp of what Jericho can do in AEW. And I wouldn't be surprised that months down the road, if this Edge thing keeps going, that it's Jericho who comes in to try to kind of counter what Edge has done. And Edge versus Jericho would be real interesting if Jericho establishes a whole new faction for himself there in the WWE, which could be fun to see for sure. So those are things you got to keep tabs on and see what they're going to do. But what's great is this is really, I don't know if people feel this way, but this feels like a kind of another golden age of wrestling, because you've got so many promotions and federations. You've got so many TV shows. You've got so much talent to monitor and watch and look at and what have you. You could actually fill every day, if you wanted to, with wrestling content in your life. You know, Peacock has stuff from the UK. You've got stuff here with NJPW. You've got stuff with Impact. You got stuff with Ring of Honor. You got stuff here with AEW as part of course, Ring of Honor being a part of AEW now. So there's so much to fill your day if you wanted to. So there's a lot with SmackDown and Raw and all the pay-per-views and all that stuff. So there's a lot here to enjoy. And what's going to happen in 2 years? Is there a bubble bursting here, or is it more competition, which makes it even more enjoyable to be a wrestling fan? That's what I'm hoping happens down the road, rather than just all these bubbles popping. And just like they did last time when ECW and WCW fell apart, WWE just comes in and picks up what they want and rolls on past. So we shall see for sure. All right. Anything more to say on this, Aaron or Chris, or shall we move on?
Last little comment I'll make is just because he talked about the Bucks and Omega thinking that they're big time.
Yeah.
All that seemed correct until CM Punk showed up in AEW.
Yeah.
And then when you saw what a real star looked like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I did want to throw this out there because Haskell asked it earlier. As far as those contracts go, I could if they had an option, if the company had an option, I noted it. But if it wasn't in there, it was either incomplete or they hadn't had an extension so far. So take that with a grain of salt. All those things I said, except for most of them were correct. But some of them are rumored. So just kind of, it's just a fun talk. Okay.
Fair enough. Empire Fan 1980 says it's crazy if MJF goes to WWE. Why are they just going to screw him up like they do everyone else? Some people escape it. Look, AJ Styles hasn't been screwed up since he went over there. He's had some really nice booking. I mean, and here he is still doing his thing here with him up against Edge, which is the faction they're really building. So it's a spotlight on AJ for him. So I don't anticipate they would mess up MJF. A lesser character, yes, but MJF is so established in who he is. I'd be really surprised. What about you guys?
Aaron already made the point. I mean, look at Cody. I mean, if you're a priority, they're gonna do it right. I was shocked on SmackDown that Raquel Gonzalez losing to Rousey the way she did was the first time in ages someone looked better from a loss in WWE. Yep. So when they want to, they know what they're doing. When you're a priority, and I have a hard time believing that MJF isn't the kind of guy who's savvy enough to make sure that he's a priority if he went to the WWE.
Yeah, he'd be their new Jericho, their new CM Punk. He'd be that guy who would walk that line and mess with everything and attack the establishment and do all the things that he wanted. I mean, you could argue MJF could grow even more in the WWE than he had in AEW. There's more competition, more potential for storylines, more potential for make-a-wish situations where he could really turn on the heel heat. There's all kinds of opportunities where he could mess around and he'd be established even more. What do you think, Aaron?
I don't know if I'd want MJF in the Make-A-Wish. Oh my God. Flipping off. Have you seen what he's done to special needs folks out there? Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm not saying everybody's
in on it. They like it.
I guess, but I don't think WWE is going to be airing MJF's wish granting where he's just sitting there flipping off kids. I don't know if that's going to work.
MJF's Be a Bully campaign.
Be a bully. be an ass. Don't be a star. Chris said it. If they really want to present you as a star, you will be that. And I don't see MJF going to NXT. I don't think they want him there. I think he's be a guy that just transitions to the main roster. And God, what a bane it would be, or what a coup it would be if MJF interrupts a promo from somebody, and there he is, just like Jericho did.
Yeah, they interrupted The Rock. Yeah, exactly.
Could be great. Could be really great.
Zeno said it. Can you? Oh, my bad. Zeno just made a comment. Could you imagine MJF with the Money in the Bank briefcase?
Oh my God.
Money.
Burberry briefcase.
That's an excellent one. Chris Miner says, if ex-WWE guys return, will they have their old gimmicks like Rusev or Dean Ambrose, or bring their new characters as Miro or Moxley? Would that be a factor for ex-WWE AEW stars? What do you guys think?
They definitely would go back to their WWE gimmicks. Vince is taking people's names away, for God's sakes. I mean, Ciampa, Theory. If he don't own it, he's not interested in it. And maybe he can make a storyline about it one day. Like, we had Mankind, who eventually became Dude Love, who eventually returned to Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
If he can do something with it and make some money, he might use your old gimmick. But other than that, it's going to be what he owns. Believe that.
Okay. Aaron?
I think that your two examples are not good ones, no offense, but I don't think that Miro would ever go back to WWE.
Yeah.
I think he would go do something else. But yes, he would be Rusev again because they own the name and that's how they work. But never say never about Dean Ambrose because Rollins and Reigns are his friends. That is a fact. That's not a joke. Like, they are friends. They've got money in the Shield. Like, if could you imagine if the Shield came back together? Like 5 years down the road, people
save the bloodline. I don't know.
Lose their fucking mind, dude.
Yeah,
like it just never say never about that one, but not for a long time. So, they would go back to their.
If
old
if the Shield was to get back together again at this stage in their careers, or like you said, a couple years down the road, this would be the greatest incarnation of the Shield ever because they're all three are like. This could be a new NWO because which is what they were supposed to be. But they'd be all seasoned professionals, multiple-time champions, having been through the wars. They would deliver one of the greatest runs of any faction ever if they were to put them back together again with how they've all come of age and come into their own separately. To meld that as a three-man weave would be fantastic. I don't think it'd be Brooklyn Nets. I think it would be Miami Heat. That's my personal opinion.
And I think we're just got to get used to the idea that if MJF does come over, they're going to change his name. MJF is his real name.
You're right.
And my buddy even said to me, he goes, "What do you think they're going to change Io Shirai's name to?" And I said, "Fuck you." So, I mean, it's going to happen. It's just something we're all going to have to deal with.
Yeah. And I agree with you guys. I don't see Miro coming back at all.
No.
All right. Those are all the super chats we've had. Please keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. The Streamlabs super chats. The Streamlabs address is right in the chat. It's also in the description of the video. Send in your support for what we're talking about here today. Aaron, where are we off to next?
We're going to do a little Raw recap, and then I definitely want to talk a little bit about SmackDown because I caught it so late. I didn't have time to put it on here. But
no worries.
Okay, so we're starting off on WWE Raw. RK Bro defeated the Street Profits to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships, get more tag teams. Rhea Ripley defeated Liv Morgan. Now, I know we weren't here last week. Some shit went down at Backlash, okay? Yeah. Oh, my God, we'll talk about that. Finn Balor defeated Damian Priest via DQ. Keep that DQ in your head. Alexa Bliss returns with Lily to defeat Sonya Deville. Alpha Academy and Kevin Owens beat up Ezekiel backstage. Veer Mahan defeated a local talent who looked like a combination of Wardlow and, I don't know, Daniel Bryan. And then Sasha and Naomi defeated Doudrop and Nikki ASH to retain the tag team championships. Ciampa defeated Mustafa Ali. Bianca Belair defeated Asuka via DQ. Cody Rhodes defeated Theory via DQ. So that was Monday Night Raw. We'll talk about that in a second. Roman Reigns, I also want to mention, is expected to miss a few months with an undisclosed injury, but it may be what we're talking about coming off of Monday night or coming off of WrestleMania, where it was a rumor that he hurt his shoulder. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of that going on. He will miss Hell in a Cell, but he is expected to be back for their pay-per-view in Cardiff. So we'll see how that goes.
At the Castle?
Yeah, that poster's awesome, by the way.
Yes.
John Cena is rumored to be coming back for a 3-month tour this summer. You can't see him, but he's coming back. John Cena. I also do want to make a couple notes about SmackDown. Like I said, Raquel Rodriguez stepping up to an open challenge against Ronda Rousey. That's awesome. And wow, I read online like, oh my God, they squashed Raquel already. And I was like, what the hell? And I watched it and I was like, wait a minute. No, she did great. So shout out to Raquel for doing that. And it looks like we actually are going to get the Usos versus RK Bro in that title unification match next week on SmackDown. So there you go. There's some WWE news of the week.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say real quick for this. The Alexa Bliss thing, as I mentioned, I don't understand why she comes back in this way. You know, she's been complaining on Twitter. People have been talking about it on social media. You made this whole storyline with Lily and the therapist and all of this. So is this the culmination of it? And then she comes out, she beats her. There's not really much of a promo after. So, like, what do we do with Alexa Bliss? I don't know. It's such a weird way to bring her back, especially because it was about Sonya being fired. It wasn't about Alexa Bliss coming back. So it just seemed like warring storylines that didn't seem to make sense. Why they were even paired up against each other. And, Sonya losing Alexa isn't really that big of a deal. It just seemed odd to me to see that. I love this Rhea. You put Liv Morgan in that for an hour. I got no problem with that. I like that they've turned her essentially into a rag doll, Liv Morgan, and they're just going to tear her apart. And I enjoy Rhea this way. I mean, AJ almost clocking her and then getting hit from behind himself was great because Rhea could go with AJ. That ain't even an issue. So I love, she's almost, if I can say this, walking the line a little bit, like a new version of China in this whole situation, which I like. A woman that can hang with the men and tear the women apart. This is a great addition here, and I like the way they're making it work together. The Cody Rhodes Theory Rollins thing, that was great. I mean, absolutely great. Cody Rhodes taking that foot stomp and doing the whole that was a genius reaction. I love when you sell in a way that seems somewhat real, but also funny in its approach, which I dug. And the whole Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel and Elias, that was genius. I enjoyed that. Love that Alpha Academy is with Kevin Owens. Those three guys definitely fit well together. Sad to hear about Roman, but sometimes it's good to go away for a little bit. It helps you keep the titles, you go recover, and then you build up the anticipation for people seeing you coming back. So who knows how they're going to do this storyline or kind of change the storyline around for him with the bloodline and all of that. Are they going to make the Usos come in and start feeling like, we run the bloodline now, you got hurt, you went away, we don't need you anymore, that kind of thing. There's a possibility. Then you turn him face, and we'll see what they do with that, if they do that at all. And Cena coming back, I'm not as excited as Chris, but all right.
Come on.
Come on. I mean, I don't know, dude. You've done your time. There's nothing more you need to do here. Why are you coming back?
Because with Roman gone, you gotta slide a star right back in there.
Bloodline? Is it gonna be in the bloodline?
You might.
Chris.
Weirdly Raw, while I hated on it earlier, and I don't, I'm not that excited about it like that every week. Quietly been better these last few weeks. Quiet has been better. There's some great pieces there. Mm-hmm. Bianca Belair is always great. Becky is always great. Like you said, Alpha Academy with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens literally, to me, just about the only person I could think of that could make this Ezekiel thing work as well as it's working.
So right, dude. Yeah.
But then, of course, also let me give my flowers to Rhea Ripley, as you talked about. And as I had pitched a whole alternative way to go with this thing, sometimes the most obvious thing is the correct thing. And she needed a new coat of paint more than almost anyone else in that women's division, like only because of potential. And Rhea's potential is off the charts. Yeah. And the way she was getting booked was just abysmal. But now she should be the standard of the division. Like, almost where like the women's division's like an annoyance to her, the way that, China was at one point, where it's just like, I'm not even interested in this. I want to be the Intercontinental Champion. I don't care about the women's title. You know what I mean? Like, I will crush all of you. And then there's an opportunity here to make Liv Morgan, that sort of built up underdog babyface. We must not forget the way Bayley became a sensation was she lost all the time in NXT.
Yeah, you're right.
She could not beat Sasha Banks. She couldn't beat anybody. And so once she finally sort of metaphorically sacked up and, came into her own and then able to have that match with Sasha at Brooklyn, that's why it was such a big deal. And you can do that with Liv. Like, she has the support of the fans already. So you put her in that position, you might be able to make some money with that down the road. But right now, definitely shouldn't be able to compete with Rhea. Not at all. As far as Cody Rhodes stuff, I mean, I said it before. He's probably the main segment I look forward to every Monday Night Raw. The DQ City that was happening this week, I just I don't understand, and which makes me I would almost put big money down that you're not going to get a clean finish in the Usos versus RK Bro next week. So let me understand the storyline. Roman says he wants them to unify it. When they got the chance to unify it, he tears up the contract because he doesn't want it. Now they're going to do it, and it's going to all culminate on SmackDown?
Yeah, on SmackDown.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a little pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
That's right around the corner, and Roman ain't going to be there, and you need a big match, and tag team Hell in a Cells are awesome. So, you see where I'm going with this? I don't think we're going to see exactly a definitive finish on SmackDown. You know what I mean? So, that was weak sauce. Veer Mahan doing what we do. The Sonya Deville thing. I don't even. This whole thing started because she booked herself in a title match, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Guess how little impact that has made. Did that match even happen? I don't even remember if that went down.
Yeah, and Bianca beat her. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, look, for the longest time, they never even explained how Sonya had that job in general. She just kind of showed up in a suit one day, and it was like, I have power. What? You know what I mean? Adam Pearce, same thing. If I was writing, I would literally have a wrestler be like, how do I even know you work for The Office? Like, you just showed up one day. Who are you? But so whatever. That's over. She needs to be wrestling anyway. She was getting over before the unfortunate situation with the stalker and all that stuff. She was getting over.
True. And
I think that honestly, this GM thing has kind of derailed her momentum as a wrestler. So hopefully she can get it back. Roman taking some time off. Look, these shows are very Roman centered. And I think one of the reasons Raw has started to get better is they realize, like, oh crap, like without Roman, who's basically he's the champion of both brands, but he spends his time on SmackDown. Yeah. It's like, well, we got to fill this show with something. We got to give people some kind of reason to watch, and that's why you're starting to see more people get opportunities to shine, I think, and it's yielding results. What is a little interesting is, can you have a faction like Edge's that doesn't come into conflict with the Bloodline?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, there has to, if you like comics, like anything, if a force rises, there must initiate an anti-force in which to battle. That's always been the way in wrestling. That's always been the way in comics or anything. So yeah, that's a good point you bring up, Chris. Who is going to step up to creative? And it isn't AJ. It's not going to be enough. It's got to be someone a little more magnetic. Yeah, absolutely.
And then speaking of magnetic, come on, baby. Babe Ruth is back. Come on now. Let's go. What are we talking about? We're talking about Big Match John. We're talking about the icon. We're talking about the guy. Come on. We're talking about Peacemaker, baby.
I love Peacemaker. Don't get me wrong. But.
There's plenty for him to still do. We still have the whole Ric Flair's, record that he's got to do. He's still got, there's all these newer guys that he can have programs with. Come on, Summer Cena. Get with it.
What do you think, Aaron? Is Cena going to be the one that leads a faction up against Edge here over these 3 months?
Why do you want to take down the Judgment Day? It's great.
I'm just resuscitating those two guys. They had a nice feud for a while.
It's great. I think Rhea Ripley joining Edge's faction, Judgment Day, was the worst kept secret.
Yeah,
because they kind of teased it. We all kind of figured it, and now like the big one is Edge said we're not done recruiting, so now the smart money's on Tommaso Ciampa joining, and it's like, God damn, that works. And it's like, yeah. Someone said in the chat, is Damian Priest the weak link of Judgment Day right now? And I would say, I would counter that with a football analogy. I would say, back in the day, the Arkansas Razorbacks had a 3 running back backfield of Felix Jones and Peyton Hillis and Darren McFadden. They're all fucking great. I'd take any one of those motherfuckers. So it's kind of like that situation where you got 3 good ones. It's just who you want to plug in where. And with Ciampa, I don't know how that complicates things. I could see if like a storyline in the future, maybe in the next couple of weeks, of Sonya Deville talking to Edge and like trying to join Judgment Day, and they're like, no, nobody likes you.
Yeah.
Nobody likes you. Please go away, and stuff like that. So again, get new tag teams, because I feel like I've seen RK Bro and the Street Profits a million times at this point. Yeah. Quick shout out to WWE.com for going with the narrative. On their Superstar page, they have both Elias and Ezekiel listed, so that's very smart on their part. A little subtle smartness. We didn't talk about this, but Doudrop recruiting Nikki ASH to stop being a superhero, which is great. So we may be going back to crazy Nikki Cross.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Scottish women for rising up. Appreciate that. Always good to see women in storylines that don't involve championships. You can have more than one, so that's good. Bianca Belair and Asuka. It looks like we're just getting the Asuka, Belair, Becky Lynch triple threat. Looks like that's what we're going to get. I don't know what Becky Lynch was wearing this week. It's a conundrum every time I see her. It's very weird.
It's a Blade Runner shout out. She was dressed as Prince. So
this time too, because I have no fashion sense at all.
Okay, fair enough. But she looks hot in it. That's for damn sure.
Well, yeah, but
the boots scare the shit out of me. The boots look like they really do some damage to you, Aaron.
Her and Seth are killing me with their drip, if you will. And again, Raquel Rodriguez coming to the ring, answering Ronda Rousey's open challenge, saying, "I'll take you on," and then having a pretty good match. I cannot believe I'm saying this. Ronda, damn it, 2 good ones in a row. I can't believe it. It's don't amazing. Let her talk. Don't let her talk.
Right.
And the WrestleMania match wasn't bad either. So it's damn, maybe we shit on Ronda too much, or maybe we
No. I think we appropriately criticized what was going on, and they adjusted, and now we can give it its flowers. So that's what I think. I don't think we have to, and here's the deal. Yeah, don't let her talk and let her get beat up for a little bit. That lets people get behind her. That's how you give respect to the fans. Let this person who kind of parachutes in when they feel like it, let them take a few beatings and still win the match. And that helps fans kind of feel like, okay, this person understands. It's about selling. It's about putting the other person over. It's about coming back. It's about launching, and Hogan used to, climb people's bodies when he was getting his ass kicked. That is essential. Lesnar too. Lesnar has taken some long. Lesnar's always selling. That's why people never fully hated Lesnar, and they hated his presence coming in every once in a while instead of being a lifer. But in the ring, he always sold, and that's what got people eventually to be huge about him. Goldberg is another thing I can't even understand, but Lesnar absolutely did. But Ronda, this is what works. Ronda sold Raquel so well throughout that match. I was blown away, and it's such a simple tweak. And now we can enjoy the matches, enjoy what she's doing, and even quietly cheer for her in the matches to come back and win. So I like it. When you turn off the whole ego, I need to be the toughest person no matter what's happening, it can't hurt me. It's amazing how people can connect to vulnerability, because we all feel that way. That's what's great about faces. You connect to the fact that they can't get the job done all the time.
Let me throw this out there real quick, because this is rumored to be happening. All those Lacey Evans promos.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently she's going to be a heel. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that?
When I heard that report, was this televised? I saw a clip where she came out and the announcement was show her the proper respect and cheer for her. That was what they said to the crowd.
Yeah.
And even the crowd was what? What do you, how? Okay. I initially would say, how could you take a performer whose whole gimmick is talking about being a survivor of abuse and overcoming and, having determination and all this? How do you turn that into a heel? And then I remembered that this is the same company who somehow couldn't capitalize on a wrestler returning from leukemia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I already, it's you can envision almost the pitch and Vince McMahon being yeah, damn it, we'll make a Like, well,
it's too cookie cutter, Bruce. We got to make her a heel.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, it's almost amazing. It's almost incredible. And I almost want them to pull the trigger on it just so I can sit back every week and go, wow. It's like, have you ever seen, it's like watching a hot dog eating competition on July 4th or something like that. Yeah. I'm going somewhere with this, Aaron.
Yeah.
You watch them scarf down Nathan after Nathan after Nathan. Milk is everywhere. Water's everywhere. Buns and uneaten food. And you just think to yourself, what a fucking waste. What a waste.
Poor Joey.
All this was prepared to waste it all. And that's how I feel about this Lacey Evans if they turn her heel. And it's almost, you almost need to applaud it.
I always wondered, like, what people, like, if people in third world countries, like, saw this, and, like, people that are starving around the world, they're like, what the fuck? What is this? Like, we could totally send 1 billion Nathan's hot dogs over to these fucking the Ukraine, for God's sake. But
yeah.
You make a great point.
I just cry for his gastrointestinal system. That can't be good for you. When he's 50, he's going to be wrecked, absolutely wrecked. But and it's a great point you bring up. And maybe they see her as like, maybe they looked at the roster and were like, okay, her face doesn't work for what we've got constructed. All right, we'll make this turn and turn her heel. And in essence, she becomes the Marjorie Taylor Greene of the wrestling, or the Lauren Boebert. She stands in as the Red State wrestler. And so this is maybe something Vince in his head was like, okay, they've got someone that can walk the line and she'll come out as a heel and people will hate her initially, but eventually will turn her face and she'll be an even bigger star, just like The Rock, just like Austin, just like so many people have done for numerous decades. This is the way possibly to go with her. I agree. It's a hell of a left turn. When you're talking about domestic violence, you're talking about having to overcome all this kind of stuff to turn it into something. But then again, that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene and that's what Lauren Boebert constantly saying their political stuff. I had a baby outside of my truck because I didn't take no 2.5 months off. I got things to do. So there's this kind of thing in this approach that could work and appeal to a large base of their fandom. So I would not be surprised if they went this route and still made her story sympathetic, so that people could quietly cheer for her while they're booing her. And when she makes the turn, everyone will get involved in it. So it may be either quietly brilliant, Chris and Aaron, or phenomenally stupid, and it'll ruin Lacey yet again, which would be a shame. Be a shame.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they could, like, a couple of months down the road or something, be like, have actors as her parents and be like, yeah, none of that's true. Yeah.
We're still very much alive. I don't know what she's talking about.
I don't no idea what she's talking about.
That would be crazy.
You say Dave Langer, she's not a face. She's a face to certain people, bro. So, I mean, that's the thing. So
yeah, that's true. Sadly.
Empire Fan 1980 says, did you know that Freddie Prince Jr. is going to start a wrestling company in 18 months? He said he's going to have a union and health insurance. I did know that, and I tweeted back at him that I want to audition to be one of the voices for that company. So I have not heard back from Freddie, unfortunately, who was a fan of the Outlaw and the Schmodown. But yes, we have all heard about. What do you guys think about this? Freddie Prince, he was a consultant for the WWE. He's got his podcast now where he's interviewing a bunch of wrestlers. Do you think this makes sense, or do you think people go, oh man, here's a Hollywood guy coming in starting a pro wrestling thing? What do you guys think about this?
I'm very much wait and see. I'm in the comedy world, and the big thing going on out here is Joe Rogan is opening a club in Texas, and I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes good intentions pave the road to hell, and it sounds great. Oh, we're going to give them a union and health insurance and this, that, and other. And then you get all these carny motherfuckers, you know what I mean, getting into your company, and they start playing the politics and doing what pro wrestlers do and all that. And it could go left really, really fast. So it's really got to be a wait and see, like, much like control your narrative, where it's just like, I guess we'll just watch and see if this goes flying off the cliff or not. Right. I wish him the best. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely wish him the best. But because if it's successful, it's going to mean a lot. You know what I mean? But wrestling is a weird business to get into.
I like this JMB saying Chris hating on carnies. Come on now.
Yeah, come on, man. Small hands smell like cabbage.
Aaron, your thoughts on this? Because look, I know the idea is to the wrestlers are the downtrodden and blah blah blah, but there are some crafty motherfuckers here who are going to take advantage of the situation, as we saw in WCW with Hall and Nash and the Favored Nation shit. All of the stuff they're going to try to get away with as much as possible. So, is he going to have good faith effort from these wrestlers who are happy to have a union and insurance and not abuse that? I mean, what if the wrestlers are striking every 3 months because they're upset about something? That could be an issue. You want to establish the brand first, then make the move into union, then make the move into insurance. And here's a newsflash. You can still run a promotion and follow union rules without being a union. You can actually do that and limit the hours in the work week, limit the time they're on wrestling, limit the amount of matches without having to officially be a union or follow those or officially follow those rules and be held to them. So you can try it out and then eventually see how it works. So what do you think? Do you think this makes sense, or do you think he's kind of shooting himself in the foot before he even starts?
I don't know, and with all due respect, of course, I don't know who looks at the wrestling business and says, I want to start one of those. Like the same people that say, like, I want to have a bar. Like, it's my dream to own and operate a bar. It sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
An absolute nightmare. So it's like, why would you even do that? And he said he wanted him to be in SAG, like that union. And I was like, that's offensive to all the people in SAG. Like, I don't know. They're not actors. Stop it. Good luck. That's all I can say. I hope it works out. I hope Freddie makes, great money, because Freddie seems like a nice guy.
He is.
I don't know. But it's got to be better than control your narrative.
I want to hear from Sarah Michelle Gellar on this. I want to see.
She don't give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying. I want to see when Freddie pitched this to her, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't be home for the kids because I'm on the road and I got to run around." I mean, eventually, Sarah, who is no wallflower, is going to put her foot down on this whole situation.
She got that Buffy money forever. She won't care.
Fair enough.
I think he missed a super chat earlier.
Did I? Oh yeah. It was one from here it is from JMB. It says a left field question, so please feel free to squeeze this in where you guys feel it appropriate. Do you guys have a favorite movie featuring a wrestler prominently? Mine is Batista and Blade Runner 2049 and Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, I'll give you Guardians of the Galaxy. I won't give you Blade Runner 2049 in terms of featuring him prominently. He's only in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So, but yes, Guardians of the Galaxy, I think that qualifies. Gentlemen, favorite movie featuring a wrestler who was prominently featured in the movie?
I mean, like, my breakfast with Blassie comes to mind, but that's a little old. I mean, what are we talking about? This is the answer to this question is no holds barred. That's
God, no.
The question. That's the answer to the question. That movie is a fever dream that, like, if you were dying of dysentery and started hallucinating, and you were at the same time watching WrestleMania 2 or 3, what it would look like. That's what No Holds Barred is. It is just like, what is happening here? Rip is Hulk Hogan is just like a lunatic who is somehow a hero to children and men and women, and then he is confronted by yet another lunatic that somehow functions in normal society when they kill everyone that they come in contact with. It is bananas. It is bananas, and it is great. A great time at the movies.
Duty.
What was that?
I have no idea. But I do want to say earlier, Chris, I acknowledge your Austin Powers reference, and I salute you.
Thank you, sir.
There is but one answer. There is one but true answer. You know what it is. They live with the late great Roddy Piper as John Nada. I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. I mean, how do you not? And he's actually pretty good at it. And it's directed by John Carpenter, one of my favorite director, one of the best directors of all time. I will give you that Dave Bautista one. I know he's not featured prominently, like you said.
Yeah.
But I think that might be the single greatest wrestling acting performance there's ever been.
Wow.
It's fucking good. And he's in it for 10 minutes.
You're not wrong, bro. That was the scene that turned me around on him, Aaron. You're absolutely right, where I was like, I think he is, of all the people who've come out of pro wrestling to be actors, he is the one now that I feel has an odds-on favorite to win a Best Supporting Actor or something like that because of that performance in that 10 minutes in Blade Runner 2049. You make an excellent point. I think the answer is The Rock. I mean, for God's sakes, make your choice. The Rundown, Moana.
Rundown's still my favorite.
Whatever you want to see. I'll even throw Hobbs and Shaw in there. He's fantastic in those. And we'll see with Black Adam what happens, because I saw the 10 minutes extra of Black Adam at CinemaCon, and he looks fantastic in the role. So I think there's going to be more to come for The Rock. So I have to stump for The Rock, unfortunately. But yeah, They Live is a great choice as well. And Aaron keeps trying to get me to do a no holds barred watch along. I don't
got to do it.
We got to
through it, man.
You got to.
I don't think I can put myself through the late great Tiny Lister trying to do
Terry
that.
Funk, Stan Hansen, all make cameos.
So good.
I'm trying to think of go ahead.
Oh, I was going to give you a little anecdote about They Live. Piper was a good friend of mine, and we once took me to a Q&A at the New Beverly, and everything was amazing.
Nice.
Keith David, terrified to throw punches at Piper.
Yeah.
Apparently when they were filming the movie, because he was just so, I guess, just so formidable and intimidating. I mean, Piper was not a small man.
Yeah.
And also had been trained by Judo Gene LaBelle and could kill you if it ever came down to it. And so it had to get to a point where he literally told Keith David, no, just throw real punches. I'll take it. Don't worry about it. And it ended up being the longest fight scene on record in cinema history, apparently.
Yep.
And it turned out great, because he's coming with potatoes at Piper throughout that whole time.
We should have made this like an overarching topic. Like, we could talk about this forever. But yeah, Keith David is a side note about him. This guy, like, probably one of the most underrated actors of all time, dude.
Absolutely.
He's in so much good stuff, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah. And different variety of stuff, right?
No, absolutely.
The comedies that he does, Dead Presidents, Armageddon, The Thing. The guy just shows up and delivers every single time with that.
You may not know the name, but you definitely know that voice.
Yeah.
I was his voice acting. Spawn. Oh
yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, he's great.
And there's rumors about a sequel to The Thing that Carpenter is working on, where you find out that, where they both realize they're not the creature, but the creature's gotten away.
Bullshit.
They come back together to go after him.
Nope, that's stupid, and that's bullshit, and that undermines everything the original thing was all about. How dare you? It's the greatest movie of all time.
It worked for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but anyway, let's move on.
Let's not talk about that. We're not talking about that. We have controversial opinions.
You guys forgot the masterpiece that is ready to rumble. Ugh, I know.
But that was a movie made. That was a movie made for wrestling, about wrestling. Yeah, exactly. This is like, which I guess counts, but yes, They Live. Oliver Platt was great in that, though.
Oh God, Oliver.
Jimmy King, baby.
All right, let's move on, Aaron. We got about 30 minutes left in the show. What do we got?
Oh God, my favorite story of the week. Eric Bischoff and CM Punk have beef, and it was about Eric Bischoff kind of going off on his podcast with Conrad Thompson, 83 Weeks, where he talked about better storytelling in AEW will equal growth. He was talking about the fact that AEW has been kind of stagnant at that 900,000-ish ratings mark. And he was saying, they're getting the same people every week. They're not adding anything. And then CM Punk didn't appreciate that. Well, I should say another person responded, said that I'd argue that WCW catered more to the hardcore fan and tried to keep them happy by not devaluing beloved baby faces and doing more with their great undercard. They would have staved off the precipitous decline they had in 1999. Their wrestlers were better than WWF's, and they didn't take advantage. Then CM Punk jumped in off of that and said, wrestling Twitter needs to stop amplifying the old head, bad faith, bad take, carny dipshits. They had their moment in the sun. let them die in the dark with their ego podcast. Quote me.
Wow.
Then Eric Bischoff saw that and responded by saying, okay, so I'm not Hogan or Savage, Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole. They're not the outsiders. I see the parallels, but this is totally different. I'll go ahead and say it, and people can quote me, and they'll be pissed off about it. But to me, this is bigger. He's paraphrasing what CM Punk probably said. And then he finished with, how's that working out? So Eric Bischoff and CM Punk, love it. What do you think?
Chris?
Sometimes in life, you're right, but you still lose. And I think that's Eric Bischoff in this situation. He's correct. Nothing that AEW does is going to ever be on that level. Yeah, but you don't want this kind of smoke with CM Punk. Like, are you kidding yourself? Like, I mean, this is, yes, Zeno is on fire today. A very Kanju situation. I mean, Godzilla situation. Let them fight. I am the meme of Michael Jackson eating the popcorn. It's going to be a slaughter because, again, you're not going toe-to-toe with CM Punk when it comes to saying words and people are typing words to people, but it's going to be damn entertaining. Eric, just throw that white flag. Throw it, dog. Throw it.
Yeah.
So,
because when you debate with someone, the thing is to debate about the subject matter that is the debate. The second you slide in on your third or second comment, if it's an immediate personal shot, and look, I know Punk was taking a personal shot when he said, let them die in the dark with their ego podcasts. Bischoff could have brushed that off because it doesn't matter to Bischoff. I'm sure Bischoff sees Punk as lesser than a number of the wrestlers he brought over to WCW and the number of wrestlers he was in charge of in WCW. I'm sure he doesn't rate Punk above Sting or Hogan or Savage or Hall or Nash or any of those.
Do
you? Huh?
Do you?
Do I? I don't. I'm not. I'm not involved.
Okay.
In this.
All right.
I'm just saying the way Bischoff approaches it, right?
Sure.
So I'm trying to get into the head of him. So Punk saying this stuff for Bischoff should have been a nice moment because someone who is currently a superstar in a promotion that is building and growing kind of highlights your comment. So let it be. Let him say his bullshit. What do you care? It amplifies your podcast. People are now going to go find your podcast even more. So why get involved in the back and forth? So to take the personal shot at Punk, in a way, I think wasn't necessary for Bischoff. So I think it was a bad move by Bischoff. Yes, because what Chris says is correct, that the back and forth with Punk, you're never going to win. But also kind of taking the personal shot that he did. Like, how's this working out for you? Or how's that working out for you? That's a bit of an undercut, right? And you're not really dealing with the subject of what he was talking about or what initiated this whole battle. So to me, I think that's where you go into the petty place. That means, like, I've run out of arguments. I'm going to go with the personal shots. And the reason I think Punk hasn't responded is because he looked at it and was like, yeah, there's nothing to win here. He's just going to keep going back and forth. And now I've just amplified him even more. So I'm not going to respond. Because Punk sees Bischoff as below him. And so that makes sense when you look at the approach. So I thought this was poor form by Bischoff to even respond to Punk. And after Punk responded, I thought it was bad form of him to respond. So it doesn't make sense on so many levels. So there it is. And Punk saying stuff is what Punk does it all the time. Sometimes it's to rattle the cages. Sometimes it's to get attention. Sometimes it's the actual truth. But he knows what buttons to push in situations. And you would think someone like Bischoff, who has made a career of pushing buttons, would respect that at some level. So that's my 2 cents on it.
This is why I don't like Eric Bischoff, because Eric Bischoff will take all the credit for everything that WCW did correctly, and then not take any of the criticism for stuff that they did poorly.
Yeah, totally.
And will never acknowledge that he and Hogan are the reason that Impact Wrestling went in the toilet. They both were. So, that's the problem I have with Eric Bischoff. He's the ultimate salesman. Like, he's just like, yeah, this is great. And then he's the used car salesman that sells you a fucking lemon that breaks down when you get out of the parking lot. Yeah. So it just, everything that he says, I get annoyed when I see Eric Bischoff. Like, I don't listen to 83 Weeks. I love Conrad. I just don't listen to it. I don't care. And Eric Bischoff has been living off of, as most wrestlers and personalities do, he's been living off something that he did 20 years ago. And it's a different landscape. And it's of course, WCW and AEW were not going to have the same numbers Neither does fucking Raw.
Yeah.
Like Raw used to do 4 million. Now they're lucky to get like 2. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of less people watch wrestling. That's just a fact of life. And I think Eric Bischoff sometimes does need to shut up. But on the same token, I do see why CM Punk responded, because somebody's got to hold the flag for AEW.
Yeah.
What's Tony Khan going to just go back and forth with him? I mean, like he probably would, but somebody's got to stand up and hold the flag and say, listen here, guy, like this is what we're doing here. If you don't like it, just piss off. And that's fine. And I don't put a lot of stock in what Eric Bischoff says. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's 83 weeks. You name a podcast the one time you beat WWE and arguably beat WWE as it was transitioning out of what it was into what it was going to become. And when it became what it became, it destroyed you and put you out of business. So that to me is like, it's like crowing about one time that you beat. It's like Buster Douglas having a boxing podcast called I Beat Mike Tyson. That's what it is. And it's just like, oh, yeah, you beat him, but you didn't really do much else after that. And I think that's when you look at Bischoff as I see him completely different than Cornette. Cornette's a lifer, man. But like him or not, that fucker eats, lives, and breathes and craps wrestling. Bischoff only used it for what he could use it. And you're right. He's a salesman and whatever. And I love the NWO. But in the end, he didn't do much after that except destroy 3 promotions. So there's not much to take from that. I like JMB saying, hot take incoming from the greatest captain of all time. That's bullshit. It's still Kirk. Jean-Luc Picard, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. Yeah. Still very, very true.
And debate incoming. Go ahead, Chris.
No. He's right. I mean, I don't want to take too much time here. Card had precedents, things to base his decisions off of. Kirk had, and he just dealt with it. He was the man. Kirk's the man.
You know why? Because Kirk would make a decision while Picard debated it for 4 fucking years. There was a difference in both of those situations. That's all I'm saying.
Shout out to CM Punk for sticking it to Carney's also.
Eric Bischoff, small hands.
All right, let's move on here. As we're running, we got a stream that came through real quick, and then we'll move on to the last section here. Last Cinema Sailor said, I'm glad to see you all back. I very much enjoyed Backlash and wasn't disappointed by any of the matches. Probably the best match of Ronda's career since WrestleMania 35. I am very eager to see the new designs of the unified belts. Thanks again for all that y'all do. Any thoughts on that?
Low expectations equal great reward sometimes. And I think that was Backlash. I think we all were kind of like, this is going to be whatever. And you know what? It was definitely watchable.
Absolutely. I agree. Like I said that in our group chat, and Chris was like, yeah, dude, like low expectations breeds banger pay-per-views. And that's what WWE did. They played, all right, low expectations, banger pay-per-view card. That's what they did. So good job.
Smart. Yep. When we talked about Star Trek real quick, shout out to Robert Meyer Burnett, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Robert. I love you, man. All right. Let's Aaron, let's get in the last section of the show here, talking some AEW Dynamite and Rampage, man.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to run down the Dynamite and Rampage results, and then I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. On Dynamite, we'll start with Adam Cole defeating Dax Harwood to advance in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. CM Punk defeated John Silver with the buckshot lariat. And afterwards, Hangman and Punk have words, and then Hangman flips off Punk, not very babyface-like. Tony Nese squashes Danhausen to about 30 seconds, maybe less. And a match made for Double or Nothing. It will be Hook and Danhausen versus Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. MJF and Wardlow is official for Double or Nothing, barring Wardlow can beat Shawn Spears in a cage match next week. Ricky Starks defeated Jungle Boy to retain the FTW title that no one gives a shit about. The Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club had an altercation. Of course, they did. Toni Storm defeated Jami Hayter to advance in the Owen Hart Tournament, and Jeff Hardy defeated Darby Allin to advance in the Owen Hart Tournament. Then we jump to Rampage real quick. The Death Triangle defeated Butcher Blade and Mark Quinn. Shawn Spears defeated Bear Boulder of the Bear Country Tag Team. Ruby Soho defeated former champion Riho to advance in the Owen Hart Tournament. And Scorpio Sky defeated Kazarian with some interference to retain his TNT title. So there you go. There's Dynamite and Rampage in a nutshell.
Why the fuck would Scorpio Sky need interference to beat Kazarian? Anyway, Chris, thoughts on AEW here?
I mean, Dynamite was just that. Dynamite. I mean, well, good Lord, who is having a better run than FTR right now? I mean, solo matches, tag team matches, what wins, losses, it don't even matter. They are just making it happen, Captain. Every single week they're on TV, and I am here for it. Tag team wrestling, clap, 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 clap. CM Punk, I mean, the man just knows what he's doing. He's just so good at this. He comes out in the Islanders jersey. He's troll level on tilt. You understand me? And then, to end it with the buckshot lariat, but the way he sold it, like it wasn't his plan. And then he sees Paige watching and he's like, oh, you know what? Fuck this guy. And like, that is just prime work. And it makes you want to see the match. That's what pro wrestling is about. It makes you want to see these two guys go at it, not just, well, he's good, let's do a thing. No. They're building it up, and it's going to be a real main event title match. And I still think Punk should win, kind of. Tony Nese, I can't even believe he's on television. But if this is the birth of Hookhausen, which I think, Aaron, you predicted Hookhausen a long time ago.
Yeah.
And damn it, it is all I need for my life now is for whenever this tag team match happens, at some point, Hook curses somebody. That's all I need. I just need it to happen once. I don't need it to happen several times. I just need it at the right time, right place. I will pop harder than Andre being slammed by Hulk Hogan. I swear to God, I will. Then we had the match for Science, Toni Storm and Jami Hayter.
Yes.
I'm glad the ring was reinforced because there was some... Never mind. It was a great match. It was a fantastic match. Great women's wrestling. That's what you need. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago as far as like what the women's division needs. It needs good matches by several different women. It doesn't always have to involve a title. I think this Owen Hart tournament has been a really great step in the right direction. I mean, there's been some stinkers in the situation, but when you get stuff like this as a result, this is great. And it could lead to more stuff between the two in the future, which I'm definitely hoping for, and for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. MJF and Wardlow, kind of a stand. Didn't we kind of do this once before with Cody had to get whipped and all that before he fought MJF?
And Jericho did it to MJF too.
Right, they could have did a little whatever, but it's gonna be great. The blow off's gonna be great. Everybody knows that, so I'll deal with the Sean Spears, time wasting shit and all that. In the meantime, I think I said this several weeks ago. The Combat Club had to come into conflict with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Also, just the beginning. The opening before they play Judas, where they go, the Jericho Appreciation Society for 46 weeks, the number one leader. I love little details like that, just like throwing back to the beginning of the new generation WWF stuff. And just so fucking good, man. I still think that faction is dog shit.
Great vignettes, but you're dog shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jericho and a bunch of fucking you know what I mean? I don't even know those guys' names anymore. I refuse to even care. But I am glad that we're probably going to get a blood and guts with the Combat Club, and of course the returning Eddie Kingston and LAX. I love those three guys together too. So that should be fun. What else do we get from that? Oh, and then, dude, I was pleasantly surprised by Jeff Hardy winning that match.
Oh my God.
I thought that was a great touch because it just reeked of, the two a lot of times, they say styles clash, but sometimes styles too similar clash very much too.
Yeah.
And Jeff Hardy and Darby, obviously cut from the same cloth, but they put on a banger, an absolute banger, I thought. And, the big high spots were used at the right moments. What was the plan if Jeff did not catch Darby on that dive onto the chair setup? What was the plan? If he missed him even an inch, that young man, we might not be with us anymore. Just like, I mean, it blew my mind. But like I said, the little detail of in this, melee of a car crash match, Jeff wins with a wrestling move. And that's what made the difference. I thought that was brilliant agenting, brilliant booking. Not your time quite yet, young man, was the story, which is, fun to see Jeff getting big wins still on TV. Hell of an episode. I didn't watch Rampage because I didn't care. I was after Sir Paul McCartney. But Dynamite, absolutely 5 stars.
Yeah, I got to say, this is one of the best Dynamites I've seen in a long time. I don't disagree with you. I mean, Punk coming out in that jersey, the Tavares jersey, I didn't see, and they didn't even talk about it. Someone pointed out in the chat, they didn't talk about it. The announcer, I think it was Haskell, the announcers didn't even pick it up what he was doing, which I think is such a mistake. Punk doing this, Punk should have went to them and said, if he did, and they forgot, they're assholes. But he should have went to them and said, the reason I'm wearing this jersey is because of this, and this, pointed out in the commentary. But in the end, it worked out. It was good, damn good match with John Silver. The Harwood Cole match was great. No surprise that Cole got the win. I was surprised that Danhausen get knocked out so quickly by Tony Nese. But then, like you guys said, if this is the birth of Hookhausen and they're going to fight him anyway here in that pay-per-view, then it's no big deal. And fine, it's going to be great. And I told Aaron and Chris this. I went into a deep Danhausen wormhole over the last couple of weeks, watching all kinds of his content. That guy is incredible. Now I get it. Now I understand why people love him so much. He is so committed to this bit in any situation, and he thinks on his feet so well. Anything that pops up, he's got a funny comment in the moment when it's happening. And his movie reviews are worth the price of admission. And the dude he's with is not some polished, glossy, guy who's he's just a regular dude who looks like a wrestling fan himself, just hanging out and having to correct Danhausen all the time. It's genius. So getting him more screen time, this could turn out to be, aside from CM Punk, one of the most brilliant signings for AEW, Danhausen. I'm just putting it out there that, time will tell, but I got a feeling this kid is going to be a genius signing for them down the road in terms of getting people on board and enjoy. Because you got to have that kind of comedic element to wrestling along with these awesome matches, and he fills that void so well. For me, the MJF Wardlows, I've seen contract signings. It's no big deal to me. They always bust out into something ridiculous. No big deal. It was the Dark Side of the Ring MJF video.
So funny.
That's the thing that was worth it. Not the contract signing. That video, that was worth it for me. And the Toni Storm, Jami Hayter match was fantastic. I'll tell you why. Because those ladies have chemistry. That's a future title match, those two. And it wasn't like, those are two ladies of size in terms of the strength down below and whatever. And it's great to watch that kind of, because it's not all just about the skinny girls like Sasha and Alexa Bliss now and Becky. You also like to have the size as a balance. And those two ladies have size, and they were slamming each other with some huge power matches. I mean, Toni Storm selling that move on the outside that Jami Hayter put on her, that suplex on the outside, and her screaming like that. I've never seen that. It's such a great move. And then Jami Hayter slamming her down onto the ring, on the canvas rather, on the side of the ring. It was just great power moves. And the victory made sense. It was a bit awkward and clumsy, but Jami, because she's young, got caught coming in a little too early. And then she gets the DDT, Toni Storm does, on her and gets the victory. So it made sense in the progression of Jami Hayter for Toni Storm to win and for Toni Storm to win in that way. So you build that storyline up that eventually those two will fight for a belt. And that's going to be a fun-ass match. I can't wait to see that. And yeah, Hardy out. I did not anticipate this to be a good match. I thought this was going to be some spots and then whatever, Darby gets the victory. But that spot on the chairs, as Chris pointed out, I was losing my fucking mind because I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. You're going to kill yourself. Stop it. And it was brutal when he landed on him, on all those chairs. It looked like both those guys had killed each other. And just drove me insane. But in the end, Jeff getting the win actually works. And because, sometimes the legend doesn't have to get the victory because the legend's already established. You're helping another person get over. But sometimes getting the victory in a moment like this, like Chris pointed out, makes sense because of the storyline and the parameters involved with both of these guys. So to me, it was nice to see Jeff get a little bit of a victory over a guy who's still establishing himself and up and coming like Darby Allin is. So in the end, a damn good Dynamite. And yeah, I just basically fast forwarded through Rampage for the most part. Nice that Ruby got the victory. I was happy for her. Hopefully they're giving her a little bit of a push to see what happens. But Scorpio Sky needing interference to defeat Kazarian is one of the most insulting things ever. I'll tell you this right now. I will never understand Kazarian being any kind of name in professional wrestling. I've never enjoyed any of his matches. He bores me to fucking tears on the mic. I've never liked him in any of the factions that he's in, and he does nothing for me. He's a glorified lower Carter who thinks he's a title Carter when he's actually way below a mid Carter, and it frustrates me to see people even remotely try to promote this guy as some kind of venerable great wrestler in professional wrestling. He's been a joke in every promotion I've seen him in. I've never liked him. He's never done a fucking thing for me. So it was insulting that Scorpio Sky, who is a way better wrestler than Kazarian, needed interference to defeat Kazarian. What is this all about? What videos of Tony Khan does he have? I just need to know how this happens, for God's sakes, where he doesn't get a clean victory over Kazarian. All right, that's my 2 cents.
TNA Kazarian was a banger.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and mosey on down. I'm gonna go.
TNA Kazarian, bro, had some fucking banging matches.
You're crazy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I watched those matches and I was bored.
Mutual friend of a friend, Kid Knapsack, his good friend Frankie Kazarian, so that makes him my friend by proxy. So don't talk shit about my friends.
Ken Knapsack in real life? Have you spent time with him?
Yeah, he's my good friend.
You've gone with beers with Ken Knapsack?
I actually have had a beer with Ken Knapsack, and I have his book. So
I got his book.
He signed it to me, so he's my friend. But anyway, I'm going to make this quick because we don't have much time. So Jami Hayter and Toni Storm, I thought it was great. I thought the wrong person won. I thought this was a chance for Jami Hayter to win, but I get it.
Wait, not in sacrifice of Toni Storm?
This tournament is meant to build a star. Tony's already a star. She doesn't need to be built like this. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jami Hayter could have used this as a stepping stone. But anyway, I get it. Tony needs to squash the dead house. It didn't surprise me. Love the dark side of the ring thing. Like I said, Jericho will latch on to anything that's popular to keep himself relevant. Now he's latched on to the Blackpool Combat Club. If it's not MJF or Orange Cassidy or whoever else he needs to latch on to. No offense. Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin. I want to stop here because I know you guys are, it's the most wonderful thing ever. And I'm here to tell you that I watch AEW Dynamite as the only show that I will actually go out of my way to watch week to week. And people think I hate AEW. But anyway, I am totally fine with somebody doing a dive onto chairs if it's Darby because it makes sense.
Okay.
However, in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament, we're going to have someone jump off of a high area and land in a dangerous thing. And even if it was that, I'd be like, it's whatever because it's Darby and it's Jeff Hardy. However, in attendance was Dr. Martha Hart and her family.
Okay.
Like, who's watching? Like, is Tony like beside her, like, watch this? And she's like, oh my God. Like, I don't know who thought of that. I was like, are you insane? But after all that, like, that kind of raised my eyebrow. But after all that, if anybody else does that other than Darby or Sammy Guevara, like, I don't know. I don't know if it doesn't work, but cool to see Jeff use a crucifix to win. That was actually kind of fun. I don't know why Darby keeps taking L's. I don't understand that.
I think they're setting him up for something.
It's not his time yet. Yeah.
Well, I get that, but it's like, okay, so you put Sting with Darby to like teach Darby things. And then like, it feels like Darby's more rubbing off on Sting because like Sting's jumping off of shit through tables and stuff. I'm like, this is backwards. Like it should be going the other way. Let's see. Zoom Station says he says insensitive. I don't think that, like I said, if Martha Hart wasn't there, I don't think it would be super insensitive. I don't think it's like a massive glaring thing. I just think it's like one of those, really? I don't think it's like too terrible, but it was an odd choice. I do want to make a note about the Kazarian thing. Like,
yeah,
they're building this story because, you know, Kazarian and Daniels and Scorpio Sky were SCU. They were, killing it in the Indies and all that kind of stuff. And they came over they were one of AEW's first signings. Him and Kazarian and Scorpio Sky were the first tag team champions. So they're trying to build this up to where Ego Page and Dan Lambert interfered, and Scorpio Sky didn't want him to. And when he found out, he was pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, do you think I can't beat him on my own? You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what the build is for that. And I'm okay with it. The only problem is, again, Frankie Kazarian has won like 10 matches in a row that I never fucking saw because he was never on Dynamite or Rampage. It was on AEW Dark.
Need I prove my point? Yeah, go ahead.
If the New England Patriots beat the hapless Jets, sorry, Haskell, 10 times in one season and they're 10-0, does that mean the Jets or does that mean the Patriots are like the best team in the league? No, because they beat the fucking Jets. Who cares? So that stuff just, it bothers me. I can't get over it. But yeah, that's it. That's in a nutshell for me. Please don't do that again in Martha Hart's periphery, and let's not do that again.
What about Ruby Soho?
I was surprised that she beat Riho.
Me too.
Because Riho has actually been doing, like, has really improved herself in my eyes. I think she actually puts on really entertaining matches when called for. Again, I think the wrong person won. I think it was time for Riho to win. But, you know, you want to give Ruby Soho a big one, and she got it. So good for her.
Wasn't there one of the Japanese wrestlers, Hikaru Shida, came out and saying, I'm not injured. So address that, Aaron.
So Hikaru Shida put out a tweet where she's no longer in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. She has been replaced essentially by, I think, Chris Statlander, somebody said, which I don't know why she wasn't in anyway. But Shida had been wrestling overseas or had been overseas and apparently was injured. But then she put out a tweet saying that she's not injured. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. And that AEW doesn't really care about Japanese women's wrestling or Japanese wrestling in general.
Wow.
And then she kind of walked it back in a later tweet. So I'm kind of still waiting to see what shakes out with this before we talk about it all the way. But she makes an interesting point, and it's like, what is going on in that women's division? I don't know. Yeah. So
fair point. Something we've talked about on the show for sure. Roberto Arsenal says, enjoyed the Dark Side of the Ring spoof MJF did. Any predictions as to who the Jokers are in the Owen Cup? Thoughts on Ibushi being angry at New Japan? Real quick.
Ember Moon and Cesaro is what I'm thinking for the Jokers. Ibushi being, I mean, it's not even that he's angry at New Japan. It's just like they threaten to fire him if he keeps showing up on other promotions, and he's like, do it. I don't care. That's always been Ibushi. Ibushi does what he wants to do at any given time. He had a chance to sign a lucrative contract with New Japan years ago and competed in the Cruiserweight Classic in the WWE just because he felt like it. He's never been a guy, people were surprised when he signed with New Japan in the first place because he's always been a guy who doesn't want to be tied down by contracts. He's like Ryu in Street Fighter. He just wants to challenge himself and find who the next opponent is that sharpen his skills. He's not tied. He has no attachment to anything. So good on him. And he's an amazing pro wrestler. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Aaron, thoughts?
I agree with both Jokers. I think it will be Cesaro and it will be Ember Moon or Athena. A lot of people are thinking Candice LeRae, but WWE did add time onto her contract because she was out being pregnant, which is either fucked up or it's kind of fucked up. I don't know. But so that's not going to happen. As far as the Ibushi stuff, I don't know enough about it. I think Chris explained it pretty well, so I don't need to know. And I'm more of a Vega guy. So there you go.
What about Perazzo, right? She just lost the belt. Could she show up as a Joker, or is that not something they could? Does that seem a little boring?
I don't know if they want to do that. We heard, like I said, her contract's up at the end of the year, so she might be there sooner rather than later. Okay. Well, whoever goes has to go against Dr. Baker, so it's not like it may not win. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
It's not a shoo-in that they'll win.
Okay, interesting. All right, one last stream that came in from Justin Toner. Thank you, Justin. He says, "Hi guys, welcome back. I also enjoyed WrestleMania Backlash. Some pretty good matches despite a crappy build. Props to Molly Holly for producing the Charlotte Flair I Quit match. It was very good. Do you guys think no WWE champ on Raw right now hurts the show?"
No.
Made it better.
sometimes removing the title or winner or title holder rather from the picture allows other people to take that time and then take advantage of that time, and the fans can get to know these wrestlers more, and these wrestlers could potentially be holding that belt down the road because of the time they had when the Raw title holder was off TV for a little while. So I don't think it hurts the show. It allows other segments to exist and to flourish.
Remember the 80s? Hogan wasn't on every show. He wasn't on Superstars and Challenge and all that jazz. You saw Hogan at the pay-per-view. You saw Hogan at, Saturday night's main event. You saw Hogan at the big things. He did not wrestle every week.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know what's funny? Over the weekend, I got this old program from the WWF in the 90s, or like early 90s, and it had the match card on the back, and I was looking through it. And the main event, this is when Hogan had his heyday, the main event it was like the Arena or in Orlando, the main event was Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus One Man Gang. That was it. That was the main event. No Hogan, no Savage. No, nothing. So there's that for you.
What's the best version? Was it One Man Gang or Hakeem the African?
Stop it. You know which one's the better version. Stop it. Also, I did want to say, yes, Backlash was good. And we didn't talk about NXT this week, but I will acknowledge that NXT will now be known as WNXT because the women are fucking killing it on NXT. And look out. NXT's getting good again. So keep an eye on it. It's getting good again.
I'll take your word for it.
Somewhat.
All right, we'll see. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching this live episode of Strong Style. Here we're wrapping up. We got to get on out of here. You guys have been incredible. Thanks for another lively chat. Thanks for all the Streamlabs and Super Chats, and thanks to these two gentlemen for another fun show. Chris Burns, where can they find you, my man? Great to see you, brother.
You won't be able to find me because when I get back from Vegas, I'm going off the grid and I'm going to rest for a little while because my liver has been going nonstop for 13 days in a row. And so now I need a little bit of R&R. And so don't look for me because you
fair enough. But if you want to follow him at Chris _ please. Aaron Turner, where can they find you, brother man? And what do you got going on?
Exciting personal news. Starting a new podcast with none other than my sister.
Oh,
and we are going to talk about our horror fandom as not to, coincide with this. We're going to have some talks coming up with, Michael Myers, James Jude Courtney. We're also going to be talking to star of Sleepaway Camp, Felissa Rose. Nice. And we're also going to be talking to the lead singer of Ice Nine Kills, Spencer Charnas. So check out our new show. I'll give you details on that. We're going to be working on it in the next couple of weeks. So
do you have a title for it yet or no?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We have no idea. So we're just working on it.
All right. There you go. I follow him at Only Aaron Turner everywhere. Yep. You can follow him, and he's got his figures and all stuff going on for sure. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and subscribe down below, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe and hit that bell button so you see we're dropping all the content we do here on the channel. Last night we dropped our live spoiler review for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So come and watch the Geek Buddies battle for 2 hours over that movie, and it was battle. So come and enjoy that as well. And my Top Gun Maverick non-spoiler review is up as well for you all to enjoy. There is no more Schmodown show. It is gone from the channel officially. So sadly, that will not be here at 3 p.m. PT today, but I will be filling that time in with some other stuff for sure down the road. So keep tabs on that. All right. Y'all take care of yourselves. We love you madly. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Strong Style.